Ramesh Gehaney, who's ED and CEO of Endurance Technologies. Ramesh, it's great to have you on the show. Thanks very much for taking out the time. Once again, there's been a divergence in what the street expected in terms of two-wheeler volumes and what was delivered. What's the sense you're getting from the client side with respect to the slowdown? Any change in demand or specific order numbers seen?
Well, if I look at November standalone, yes, the compression has been there as far as the volumes are concerned, but that's only, a limited way of looking at it. I would rather be a bit optimistic on the fact that the industry has done well YTD November. Now, if you look at Q3 normally is a year end and people pack up with all the inventories that they're saddling with. So if I look into Q3 alone, maybe the volumes are compressing and the panic button is probably pressed a bit too early. But what we've got to look forward is that in January, if I look at the previous year, that's where the takeoff really started. And what we are finding now in Q4 of January, the numbers are seemingly better than Q3, but optically they may look compressed because last year the takeoff actually took place in the Q4 of FY18. Now going forward, if the inventories are consumed, the optimistic way would be that the inventories which were piled up in anticipation of higher sales, if that has not happened, the inventories have got consumed in Q3 and we can look forward for a better number. But if the industry is consolidating on the numbers and just playing a bit safe on the volume projections, then we've got a bit of a tight year ahead where BS6 gets into transition and other regulatory norms come into play. So it's a word of a caution, but I don't think one should really press the panic button right now.
Gehaney, Bajaj Auto has been a clear outperformer even in the monthly sales that one is getting. But analysts are flagging of concerns regarding the sustainability of this up move. What is the order inflow likely for the next few months or quarters that you are expecting from Bajaj Auto?
See, it really depends on where you compare, where you put your benchmark with. If you're putting your benchmark with Q2, that has been the highest month. Now Q3 obviously tapers down, that's the industry trend. Q4 is generally picks back as you've got to have a respectable close on the numbers for your financial year. Bajaj Auto has done well. They have sustained a very good growth rate at somewhere around 26 to 30% in the first 8 to 9 months. And going forward, there is a bit of a compression if you compare it with the peak of what they performed last year. But that's very normal to happen in a Q4 kind of a scenario.
I want to specifically understand that the new emission norms and what could be in store. What is your understanding? I mean, do you think there are high inventory levels and auto companies will be forced to clean up those inventories because they have to clean up the inventory? If they don't clean up the inventory, the registration will not happen. Now, while the inventories are getting cleaned up, discounts would also come out. So in the interim, is there a possibility that the real order uptick for Endurance or for that matter any auto ancillary company will only happen in the second half of this financial year?
Yes, see, BS6 is okay. It's still a bit of a distance away, but everybody has started aggressively preparing themselves for the BS6. Now, if you recall, when we transited from the existing norms to a BS4 norms, we did have this problem at that stage also, when everybody sold their vehicles on very heavy discounts and others. Now, BS6 is a different kind of transition. We are talking about emission norms. We are talking about the vehicle configurations changing and the cost moving upwards. Once the cost moves upwards, then we've got to look into how the end user reacts to this. Because one of the schools of thought of people is, or as the industry experts are saying, that the volumes may go up as some people or some segment of the end user may prepone their buy. And the other school of thought is that people may want to postpone their buy because they would get a better configuration of the vehicle. Now, if you compare rural and urban, that's where the differentiation would come. A rural person would not really want to pay extra money on the vehicle, so he may prepone his buy. Whereas an urban end user would want to have the latest configuration on the bike, and he would probably rather pay better or higher for a better configuration of the vehicle.
Many on the street are turning cautious on Royal Enfield. And channel checks are also indicating further slowdown. What's your sense from a supplier point of view? Has there been a change post the Chennai plant issue getting resolved?
Yeah, they had some lower offtakes a couple of months back when they had this labor trouble, but I think that's now resolved. The production numbers may still seem good, but I believe that the sales have been down. Again, I would correlate this to the year-end inventory. I would rather be optimistic on that it's a year-end inventory which gets consumed, and let's hope that their numbers come back. But yes, if their volumes are not picking up, it definitely affects us as we are a prime supplier to them.
Commodity prices of late have come down. I mean, when I say come down, they're down from where they were in 2018. So how will that affect margins for a auto ancillary company like yours? Because auto companies are going through a tough time. When you're going through a tough time, the first thing you do is that you try and squeeze out whatever you can do in supply chain and from your vendors. So are you feeling the heat of that? Are you feeling the heat that even though commodity prices have come down, you may not be able to enjoy the benefits of it?
No, not really. See, first of all, the auto ancillary, the component industry works on a straight pass-through. Whatever the commodity prices move upwards or downwards, it's a straight pass-through with the customers. And that's done on a quarterly basis or a half-yearly basis as may be defined by the OEMs for themselves. Now, what really happens is, arithmetically, when the commodity prices go upwards, you may see that your margins are shrinking down because the arithmetic effect of higher revenues and higher RMC cost gives a change on the RMC on the upward side. So you see that your margins are probably tapered down a bit. But if you look into the absolute amount, people are still earning respectfully in equal to the terms of growth that is happening of the industry, as we see 12.2% or something has happened in the first 10 months. Now, while the commodity prices are coming down, the margins would probably see a better effect because arithmetically that will give a benefit to the balance sheet.
So if we have to, let's say, revisit our earlier conversation, should investors in auto ancillary companies be worried because of a marked slowdown in auto sector, or you think this is transitory in nature and we should not read too much?
No, not really. See, the auto component industry and the investors and all that, it's a mix of so many conversations and so many strategies. The investor may want to have maybe wanting to have a good run all throughout the year, but there are cyclic impacts on the auto industry also. And this one, particularly Q3, as I always view it, is a period when the industry slows down, and it's probably the better because in anticipation, the OEMs and everybody they encash upon a higher sales or higher push of vehicles to the market. And in case something slows down in Q3, it's rather better for the auto industry in one way because the inventories get consumed and you get the opportunity of having a higher sales in Q4.
All right, sir, appreciate your time. Glad you could join us. Thank you for frankly answering all our questions, and thank you for your time. Have a great year ahead.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.